boys. Well, there we go. If you prefer to watch on YouTube and you're currently watching on Twitch, you can go over to the iRacing Esports Network now and catch the action, because we have gone live over there, finally. Also, we will in about 20 seconds time. YouTube is, of course, delayed by about 30 seconds to the Twitch stream.
Yeah, unfortunately the fans should be able to get in and enjoy this race pretty much from the get-go. There was that multi-car incident on the first lap, but it looks like it's the only cars I'm seeing off of a lead lap right now are Stephen Massey, Josh Berry and Michael Green. So unless you're a fan of one of those drivers, hopefully your driver's still up there with the good chance early on in today's race.
Alrighty, so in terms of this race, look at the run for the 17 of Brad Wright down that front straight, swimming to the inside of Teemu Toika there, trying to make it work through 1 and 2. Let's see if he can do it. Slides up the track, gotta be careful, door to door between the two of them, almost making contact, but they keep it off each other coming out of the second corner. And Garrett Maines is caught in front of Brad Wright now as well. Gonna maybe halt his progress a little bit. Wright having a check up as he completes the move on Toika. Maines tried to get it done and do set. Couldn't make it happen. He lost a fair bit of momentum. And now Brad Wright on the charge. Gonna go to his inside as well.
Yeah, we're talking about on the charge. We haven't had that many green flag laps, and already Tony Monga has passed this pack of cars and moved up into 6th place. He started back in 16th. Brad Wright, as you mentioned, he started 22nd and is up to 9th. And Jeremy Davis started 24th, is already up to 11th. So some drivers making big moves early on here, although Brad Wright, washing up the racetrack, has got to watch out how close he gets to the wall. But he's able to keep off it and get lap 9 in the books.
And now Teemu Toika's going to go by Garrett Maines as well. So when Maines turned Brkizik around, he was hit from behind as he checked up. So that means Maines has got a bit of damage to his right rear. Might be why he's struggling a bit for some pace right now. As we complete another lap, and Jeremy Davis can the next car to go to the back of him, as Brad Wright is going to make another move. This time on Ryan Doucette for 7th place on the track. Brad Wright started this one from 22nd, already pressuring for 7th, so he's had a fantastic start here. Found a lot of pace in that number 17 machine. Can't quite find the momentum down to the turn 3 this time by. Race lead still held by Austin Yarborough by about 2.5 tenths back to Will Norton. Robert Miller sits 3rd ahead of Jose Solis Jr., Connor Hale at 5th.
Yeah, so those drivers trying to spread out a little bit in front of the field. There's multiple grooves on this racetrack, but obviously with a full tank of fuel, these cars can go about 60 laps, we think. So you don't want to burn your tyres up racing anyone else. These drivers up front, I'm sure, are pretty happy to just ride around for now, get some laps on the board, especially with the early caution. We're getting a nice green flag run finally going in.
134 laps then the length of this one, so just about 10% of the way through this event. As the track temp, have a look at that, 47 degrees, 117 degrees Fahrenheit, absolutely searing heat out there for these drivers, which means they're going to be slipping and sliding a fair bit out there. Certainly as the tyres wear out, going to become quite the struggle to keep the car pointed in the right direction. As we're looking back from the rear bumper of Colson Sarlett here, currently 13th. He's got Brian LaPrade tucked right up in behind him, but he's also right in behind Matt Adams in 12th and Jeremy Davis in front of him. So this is quite a congested little bunch of cars here. It's Justin Levine, you can see him now looking to the inside of LaPrade.
Yeah, and all these cars obviously have escape damage from that lap 1 incident. One driver not as lucky is Steven Stefan. He's fallen all the way back to 25th after starting in 7th. And pretty much every driver 30th on back, even if they're still running on the lead lap, picked up some damage from early on. It's a very high-speed circuit, this one. You can see how steep the banking is, so that tells you why. And you don't really want to be dealing with any aerodynamic damage, as we have a battle brewing for the lead.
Up front, Austin Yarborough starting to come under some pressure from Will Norton. And once again, if you're watching on Twitch and you don't want to watch on Twitch, you can catch us now on the iRacing Esports Network over on YouTube, where we do have quite a bit of interaction going on over in the YouTube chat as Yarborough tries to defend, but Norton finds his way to the inside. And they'll go side by side through 3 and 4. The number 3 trying to take it away down on the bottom side of that number 8. He can't quite clear on that time by, and Yarborough gets a run down the front straight away at the line. The lead was in favour of Norton by 18 thousandths of a second. As they almost bang doors through 1 and 2, Yarborough trying to pinch him down. You'll notice they're not running at the very bottom of the racetrack. That's because the track is progressively banked, and right there, the first lane above the white line, Sam, it's actually quite flat compared to the rest of the quarter.
Yeah, and that's why you'll see some cars trying to work their way up to the top. Robert Miller closing in as the top 2 have been running side by side. However, I was watching Miller a couple of laps ago come off of turn 2. It looked like the back end of his car stepped out a little bit, so his handling might be going as the run goes on, and I'm sure he won't be the only one suffering from that problem with a high track tip.
See here, Brian Mercurio is going for a move all the way back in 15th place at the moment. Just about going to complete that one as Colton Sarlik stuck up top. Harrison Lyon has found his way to his inside, now trying to follow through Mercurio. He wasn't quite able to carry the momentum. Has to slot back in line just in front of Dustin Johnson back there in 17th and that 32 machine. Miami's an interesting track, isn't it, Sam? It's an oval, but because of the nature of the front straight, it's actually a straight, unlike the tri-ovals and many ovals here in America. The corners just seem to go on forever here.
Yeah, it's unique. The thing that makes Homestead a unique oval is that it is an oval. Like I say, a lot of tracks out there are like I don't even know what they call them, three-sided ovals, but no, this is a proper oval course, and it's tricky. There's some drivers who love it, there's some drivers who hate it, which makes it a bit of a problem for those drivers when it becomes a NASCAR season finale, at least until this year. I'm one of those drivers who doesn't always do too well here, so hopefully these drivers, well, I mean, this is a cream of the crop, as you mentioned at the top of the show. This is the top of like 10 or 11 different splits going on right now. So even the drivers running at the back in this race, they know what they're doing out here.
And they're still side by side here. This is Garrett Maines continuing his fall down in the order. He started this race up in 8th place. Now he's going to find himself going all the way back to 17th as Harrison Lyon goes by him as well. Dustin Johnson and Colton Sarlik just found their way by. Sarlik. Maines really struggling with that damage. He didn't come in during the caution to get his car repaired, so that's going to be something he's hoping another caution's going to come out, so he has some time to spend on pit road repairing that car. Because if he has to pit under green, he's not going to get that chance without losing an absolute ton of time.
Yeah, and we had a very clean race last week. I think this is something that's happening a bit with the additional publicity iRacing, particularly NASCAR and iRacing has been getting recently, is the drivers realize more eyeballs are on them and they're doing less stupid moves. And so hopefully that will mean we'll get, once again, another kind of a green flag race, a proper race out here today. We won't see as many wrecks. And who knows, maybe that even means we'll see a bit of strategy played out later on.
Let's see how it unfolds then. As you can see, Jose Solis Jr. now right on the back of Robert Miller for third place, just off the back of the leaders who aren't separated out very much. Will Norton not holding much of a lead over Austin Yarbrough's. Jr. completes that move relatively easily. Robert Miller just sidesteps, let him go through 3 and 4, not wanting to slow each other up by running side by side for an extended period of time. So Junior up into third now, chasing down Yarbrough and Norton, of which Austin Yarbrough looks like he's got some pace back after being overtaken by Norton. Top 4 covered by 7/10. Ryan Doucette back in 5th all by himself, got 3/10 over Connor Hale, and it's pretty close from there on back as Hale actually runs wide through turn 4. This might offer up an opportunity to Tony Monga as he gets to his inside, trying to side draft him to slow him down. This front straight away will get to his inside then for turn 1. Brad Wright watching on just behind them. He's up into 8th place with Timo Toika right behind him as Tony Mong completes that move and Hale falls back a spot.
Yeah, I know I just said I think we're going to see... and we got trouble on the back straight, right? Spinning in the grass is Thomas Hazard. Because he's down there in the grass, that's not going to bring a yellow out. But he had been racing in the pack that's battling for about 23rd place, and they've been all over each other. And honestly, it doesn't surprise me too much if I saw one of them go for a spin.
No, and while that was happening, Yarbrough closed right up to the back of Norton through 1 and 2 that time. Was almost to his rear bumper, so let's see whether he wants to take it away. Oh, just losing it a bit on the entry to the corner there. The rear end stepping out of him as he got off the throttle. Maybe he got a bit of brake to try and get it slowed down. That is something you can do at Miami, is trail brake just a little bit through the corners to help you rotate if you've got some rear bias dialed in. Maybe Yarbrough might want to dial some out of the car there. But hot track temp, going to be very easy to do what he just did there and get loose. And Jose Solis Jr. would have probably hesitated just a little bit seeing that. You see further back there, side by side still. This is Harrison Lyon trying to get by Jeremy Davis. That's going to be a relatively easy move. Davis gets out of his way and trying to cover off the car behind. Can't do it. So going to lose 2 spots here for the price of 1.
Yeah, this track, I've always found it's particularly difficult to get your exit just right. There's probably a lot of that could perhaps be contributed to the fact that the corners are so long, those proper oval corners that we were talking about. But here we go, we have side-by-side battles, so these drivers not only have to worry about the racetrack, about each other. Connor Hale, unfortunately, going the wrong direction. He started 4th, and there he's back in 9th place now. So, he might want to make a couple of adjustments, perhaps. This is an open setup series, so that is something you can do, and maybe he can work his way back up towards the front later on.
Yarbrough's dropped off the back of Norton and is in fact being overtaken by Jose Solis Jr. So after that little mistake where Yarbrough got a bit sideways entering the corner, he's really lost a lot of momentum. Maybe just being a bit more conservative now after that, and as a result has lost a spot, and Norton finds himself the lead of about half a second. See if Jose Solis Jr.'s got the pace to catch him. Now he's got himself into some clean air. The midfield still very congested. Jeremy Davis losing a lot of speed coming through turn 2, losing a couple spots down the back straight as a result. Something strange happening for him there as he goes backwards to the number 18 machine.
Well, one thing I do love about this track is how it does have different lines, different lanes, and they'll change as the race goes on. Obviously, some drivers will have setups that prefer being a bit low on the track or a bit higher on the track. I'm looking at our running order, and on iRacing it gives you the running order compared to their grid slot, and it's all over the place. So a lot of drivers have gained positions, a lot of drivers have lost positions. For all we know, it might be one of these midfielders racing for the win at the end of this thing.
You never know what might happen towards the end of the race. Of course, last time we had that fantastic conclusion with Chris Shearburn running down Matt Danson at the end with varying strategies. We've seen races green, white, checkered, and we've seen people jump out to a handy lead with just a couple laps remaining. So this series continues to give us some very interesting races, and this one looks like it's shaping up to be not any different today, as Garrett Maines back in the pack loses another spot, this time to Sean Disbro, so he's continuing to drop, and you can see there the damage to his spoiler. And when you damage your spoiler like that, you're reliant on it for so much downforce that you lose so much pace, as we can see right now.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the lap times. We did a little bit of this last week as well, looking at how much the tyres have dropped off. It's about 1.5 to 2 seconds. These cars are going slower than they were at the start of a race. And I haven't seen anyone opt in to short pit and, to try and make more pit stops, more scheduled pit stops than the rest of our opponents, and try and do something like that with strategy. Like we did last week. And granted, I don't think the tyre fall off is as massive as what it was at our last race, so perhaps that won't be a strategy that anyone will consider. But it's substantial. We will see any driver who attempts an undercut, trying to short pit before the rest of our competition. If anyone tries to do that when we do approach our pit window, that could gain them a lot of time in the long run.
Certainly could. Those fresh tyres are paramount sometimes. So Yarbrough looks like he's struggling with his tyres now, because if he's being conservative, he's certainly going the wrong way about it, losing a lot of time. Now coming under pressure from Ryan Doucette and Robert Miller right back in 5th. So interesting. I'll pulse to Yarbrough. He had some fantastic short run pace, got overtaken by Norton, seemed to be going with them after losing that spot, and then suddenly just dropped off an absolute ton. So we'll see how it unfolds the rest of this race, at number 8. If Yarbrough can come down a pit road and get some fresh tyres on, we'll see whether he's got some short run pace once again. Here we go, he's going to lose a spot to Brian Doucette now, who gets to his inside, and that's very easy. Doucette's going to take that away any day of the week when Yarbrough runs all the way up at the top of the racetrack like he is. Although, yeah, he's cleared him. There we go. Going by some laps cars as well, by the way. Tanner Love going a lap down just in front of them as Yarbrough pushes Doucette down this back straight away. And loses the rear again on entry to 3. Really struggling on that part of the track, it seems.
Yeah, he was trying to give Doucette a bit of a bump draft there, but I think he timed it at the wrong place, right at the entry of a turn, and that bump probably contributed to his car getting unstable. Now, we just saw Ryan Doucette go by him. Ryan Doucette might have a long run car or something, because he started all the way back in 14th, and he's 3rd and going forward, so that's definitely a driver the leaders are going to have to watch out for.
I think you're definitely right about that as we continue to watch this battle. Miller definitely with the pace. Yarbrough halfway down Struggle Street at the moment, because he's got nothing left in that car. He's last time by did a 33.529. Our race leader Will Norton doing a 33.1, so he's losing almost half a second each and every lap as they go by Tanner Love. Further back, Colson Salek and Sean Disbro duking it out for 16th place on the track. Both of these drivers finding big gains from where they started already. Disbro not quite able to find another spot there. Lap 40 now of 130. Got to expect we're getting reasonably close to the pit stop phase. Might split this one into a one-stop pit somewhere around lap 65, lap 70 even as Disbro tries a slide chop there on Sarlik, moves up in front of his nose and gets that spot back. Sarlik can't find the run to do the crossover. Good move.
Yeah, I'm not convinced they'll all be able to do this race on one stop, but I think it'll be very telling within the next 5 laps if we see anyone come in and short pit, because if robots were driving these cars and wanted to 2-stop, they would come in at right about lap 45. That would split the race perfectly into 3/3. Of course, these drivers aren't robots, and they might prefer to do do longer stints towards the earlier part of a race, or some might want to get rid of these tires and get their car worked on, and you never know when a caution is going to drop. So there's a lot of factors, a lot of strategy that could be played out, and like we'll say, we'll find out in a few laps if anyone does opt to short pit. If anyone does, if anyone's thinking, hey, this race is worth doing it in 2 stops, I wouldn't be surprised if Austin Yarborough is part of that crowd, given what's been going on to him over the last few laps.
Yeah, last week was one of those ones. We saw 1 stop from Danson. We saw 2 from Shearburn. Danson remarking he was surprised to see so many people do 2 stops. So I feel like this race might be quite similar with the length it is. Only 134 laps. You just see these 3 very close together for 8th place. It's Justin Levine that you're riding on board with as he slots in behind Tony Monge and ahead of Tanner Love, the laps down car, who is, by the way, running around in 34th. He is in the lucky dog spot right now. If caution were to come out and his cut relatively clean too. Jeremy Davies down into pit lane. First driver. Harrison
Lyon as well, and Sean Disbro. So these drivers are thinking of doing it in 2 stops and splitting the race pretty much perfectly into 3/3.
Well, there you go. Strategy play, the cards been dealt, and this is what the drivers are going to do now. They're going to come in and do a 2-stop strategy. Some of them at least. You don't know who's going to try and do a massive overcut.
Yeah, we got the battle for second brewing on the track. We said Ryan Doucette was in a hurry. Well, he's right on the back of Jose Solis Jr. now. Now, I almost wonder if Ryan can't find a way by Jose, he might opt to come in to do it that way, but Jose got very loose on the exit 2, so I think Ryan can try and pull this off the hard way.
And just going to box him in behind that lapped car. Jose having to back out of it before they get to him as he's going to come down to pit lane now, that number 12, dancing it in, locking it up, gets it slowed down just about. So our first driver from the real race winning contending spots pits, and he's been followed by a few more. Austin Yarborough into pit lane. So you called that one correctly, Sam. He has gone for 2-stop strategy, not too surprising. Someone that might not as Will Norton. Pretty sure he went long last race as well. So let's see what he does this time. Doucette's coming down to pit road as well.
Yeah, that's not good for Doucette, actually. The fact he's coming in 1 lap after the driver he was racing against, Jose Solis Jr., you would have to think that Jose will have about a 1-second lead on him when Doucette comes out.
Yeah, even 1 lap difference is massive here on an oval, fresh tyres versus old, so this could be very good here for our early pitters. Jose Solis Jr. might find himself in the lead of this race if Will Norton stays out. Of course, now Norton's come in, so I think Solis Jr. is going to be leading this one at the conclusion of this, because Norton stayed out 2 extra laps, which is massive. Doucette as well might jump in. Yarborough as well, looking pretty comfortable. Jerry Kitt's down on pit lane 2. By the way, if you want to see where your favourite driver is in this field, you can go to the live timing at simspeed.live to start today with all the latest lap times and positional changes out there on the circuit. That was very close.
And yeah, these two are actually very close on track as well. I really thought Jose... Oh, and the fact they got lap car blinking in and out there, that's not going to be helping them a whole lot. And there they go by Will Norton. Will Norton is on the access road down there. So Jose and Ryan are going to be far ahead of him.
And Harrison Lyon, too, is right here with them, trying to take it away from Jose Solis Jr., who's having some technical issues up on the high line. Harrison Lyon then to the forefront. He's going to take away the provisional lead of this race, as Doucette will follow through in third. Timo Toikas down on pit road, along with Justin Levine. Norton then, quite a way off the back of them. Or Austin Yarborough. Oh boy, how did he not get turned there by the slow car of Dylan Rafferty? Down on the bottom of the track, almost swiping across his nose. Norton does a similar move, but a little bit less hair-raising for him. So it all shakes out as Harrison Lyon just come from relatively nowhere to get to the provisional lead of this race.
Yeah, I think I may have confused a couple of our viewers there where I was getting Harrison Lyon and Jose Solis Jr. A little bit mixed up, but yeah, the point I was trying to make remains the same in that Jose Solis Jr. should have been far ahead of Ryan Doucette, but the fact of the matter was they were racing each other on pit exit there. Harrison Lyon has obviously pulled a bit of strategy to get in front of both of them, and is essentially the leader of all the cars who have pit, unless I'm mistaken on that, but obviously not the leader of a race. We still have some drivers trying to see how far they can go.
Yeah, Harrison Lyon circulating right now in 5th place, so Stephen Steffen, Adam Jocelyn, Joshua Campbell, Thomas Hazard, the 4 drivers yet to make a pit stop in this one. Yeah, speaking of coming from relatively nowhere, he started this race from 36, Harrison Lyon, so absolutely flown through the field. We just saw Jocelyn come down into pit road. Oh no, so that's Campbell coming down. So still that top 4. Top 3 now. Yet to stop. There's something wrong with the number 1 car. He is very slow out there. That is Dylan Rafferty. And this is the modem simulation replay. As we see a Ford Mustang making its way into turn 3. Shoots up the racetrack. Just losing a lot of speed through there. Absolute ton.
Yeah, it could be old tires. I'm not really sure what that's all about. But yeah, he hasn't pit yet. Zach Hudson, by the way, for Zach Hudson fans, he lost the connection a few laps ago. So that's why you're seeing him all the way at the bottom of the leaderboard right now.
Will Norton has found his way back by Austin Yarborough for not the first time today. So they switch back into the order they were basically running before this pit stop. Ryan Doucette is all over the back of Harrison Lyon now for the theoretical lead of the race. He was looking for a way by down the front straight, wasn't able to find one. And now he's going to get to his inside and quite possibly going to take the lead away. And he will, as Lyon just rolls over, lets him go there, maybe looking for the crossover. Not got a good run though, so Ryan Doucette now, your provisional race leader. We're still waiting on 1 more driver to pit, and that's Stephen Steffen.
Oh, 4 wide exit in turn 4. We got some very close action going on between Tony Monger, Jeremy Davis, Robert Miller, and the slow car of Fermi Olap were involved in that 4 wide scenario coming out of turn 4. They all got through, but you can see there's still a bit of a hornet's nest out here on the track. A bit of banding fenders there with Jeremy Davis and the car beneath him. 3 wide.
Ethan Lane's going to split the middle after the contact with Davis and Connor Hale, and he takes that spot away. I think there's some varying tyre wear levels in this group, which is causing some of this mess. As you can see now, the 25 of Robert Miller is going to go up by Connor Hale, or at least try to, on the inside as Davis goes backwards behind them. So close through 1 and 2. Banging doors almost there, almost 4 wide behind him again as Timo Toikas squeezed up against the fence. Ryan Mercurio tried to find a way by and almost forced Colton Sarlik to his inside at the same time. Ooh, Davis losing a lot of pace through 3 and 4. Checks up Jeremy Davis checks up Brian Mercurio through there, and they find their way through. They've just about sorted themselves out now, this big pack of cars. But not the top two here. Connor Hale still side by side with Robert Miller.
Norton has gone by Jose. Now he's just got to get by Lyon in front of him now. He's going to try and do that.
And he does. Easy. Norton with a lot of pace. Pitted a few laps later than these drivers and finding an advantage from it. He's 9/10 off the back of Ryan Doucette if he can get there for the lead of the race. They've almost got the actual lead too. Steven Steffen's losing a lot of time. He's just hanging out for a caution, isn't he? At the moment.
Yeah, well, and I can't blame him too much. Steven Steffen is a fast driver. He qualified in 7th place. He got quite a bit of damage to the front of his car on that lap 1
Yeah,
wreck.
he's the one that got into the back of Garrett Maines in the big checkup, so that's where that one's come from.
Yeah, so that's why he's playing an alternate strategy. Because, you know, he's going to lose this race on pace, so why not try something different?
You never know what may happen. Very likely you might get a caution before this one's done. If it comes before his pit stop, remains to be seen. Sean Disrow just got overtaken by Adam Jocelyn, who's a lap down now. And it's going to be interesting to see what Jocelyn can do here on these extremely newer tyres compared to the guys who pitted early, like Harrison Line & Co. He's a lap down still. He's got quite a lot of ground to make up to get his lap back. So it doesn't look like the strategy is going to work here for Jocelyn.
Trying to work out how fast Stefan can actually go. He's lost the lead now. Ryan Doucette goes by on the back straight and makes that an easy pass. But Steven Stefan, obviously with the damage, he would have came in under that first caution, so he might have a bit of an extra fuel advantage to get him across the halfway point. But I don't know, this will be interesting seeing if he does try and do some kind of one-stop strategy to get him to the end. I don't know if it'll work. Time will tell.
Well, if he can make it to lap 67, he should be able to get to the end of this race. So keep an eye out for him then at the end. Might not be a race-winning strategy, but if he was running around in 30th place before this caution, before the green flag stops came out, then this is a big game for him. He's currently running 4th, although that's about to be 5th.
He is dropping back right now, but the thing is even if he does make it to lap 67, I'm thinking he pitted around lap 7. So I think he'd more likely have to make it to lap 70 or so, but you know, he's close enough. He's obviously made his bed. This is a strategy he's going to play. And as you mentioned, we could always see another caution late in the race. We did last time.
Certainly did. Look at this battle for 9th place. Justin Levine coming under pressure from lap down car Adam Jocelyn, but Dustin Johnson and Tony Monga right behind him as well. If he loses a bit too much time as Jocelyn tries to find his way by, he could come under pressure. You can see Jocelyn, he just struggled a bit as he caught the banking change between that first lane of the racetrack and the rest of the corner, got himself a bit sideways. And now he goes by, and Levine loses a lot of time. And so Tony Monga in 27, Dustin Johnson in 32 will close right up to the back of him. Ooh, Johnson darts to the inside of the track coming off that corner.
Yeah, I think that might have been what I saw a couple of drivers do earlier, where we might not be able to see it from the naked eye, but the back end of a car kind of steps out as the track loses a banking of the exit of a turn, and that's why sometimes you'll see cars slide all the way down to the bottom there. Unfortunately, it didn't end in any kind of incident, but we might have just seen something similar happen to Lyon there, the way the cars moved around on the exit of turn 2.
Steven Steffan now goes back to 13th place on the circuit as Johnson finds his way by, along with Robert Miller and Ethan Lane, who comes through both of them at the same time. Ethan Lane's finding some pace now out there on his tyres. Michael Jeans has just made another pit stop. He is unfortunately 4 laps down, so not in contention for this one. Barring some miraculous miracles happening. Ryan Doucette.
Oh, four wide into turn 3 between Timo Toika and Thomas Hazard, not drivers who were racing each other, but Steven Stefan was kind of holding them all up, and you saw that led to some drama there. Some cars coming in.
Mercurio comes down. Jeans came with him, but of course we know he's many laps down. So this is interesting. He thinks he can make it from here, surely.
Yeah, exactly.
So expect to see Steven Stefan come down soon as well. He might have wanted to come that time. Might have been caught on the outside of some other cars, which prevented him from doing so. Look at this. Brian Laprade, finding a lot of pace. Gonna get by. Oh, there's a caution out. We got a caution on the racetrack right as Steven Stefan tried to come down to pit lane. And he's hit the tyre barriers. He's hit the tyres at the end of pit road. And that is so unfortunate for Steven Stefan. He got the caution that he needed right before he came down to pit road. He couldn't commit to coming down because pit road closed. And he just didn't turn out of it quick enough. It looked like he did, but then he changed his mind again.
Yeah, well, the caution was out, and you should know, these drivers I'm sure know, and here's why the caution is out. Patrick Moose got a little bit loose and slid up into a car on the outside there. When the yellow flies, you can't make a pit stop without a penalty if you're not in pit road yet. So what that tells me is that Steven Stefan was pretty much out of fuel, and he had to come into the pits no matter what and just take the penalty. But unfortunately, he just left a brake in too late, and those tyres were shot to bits at that point anyway. So unfortunately for him, it ended in a crash, much like a crash that we see for Moose there. And I think everybody's about to pit.
Well, this makes things interesting as we get towards the backstage of this race, the last half of this event. As I just saw the incident. Brought out the caution there. And hello, Sean, in YouTube chat, Global Sim Racing Channel. We see you. We miss you up here in the booth. Sam's doing a fine job. But we miss you. That crazy... You know what I'm talking about, Sam. He's got a crazy way of commentating. Just short. He's wild.
Yeah, well, one thing that's going to be wild right now is this race off of pit road, because Will Norton has a second pit stall, so I'm wondering if he can use that to his advantage. No, he can't. I think Ryan Doucette still won that. He did indeed. Harrison Lyon will come out third ahead of Jose Solis Jr., Yarborough, and Brad Wright. So we're under caution. What we're going to do here, now I've mentioned this in a couple broadcasts already this season for the NIS, that we are keeping track of the standings and the results for Top Split each and every week for this time slot. So what we've got basically is a Friday night NASCAR iRacing Series Championship. And at the end of the season, we'll know who the best driver is in this time slot in the NIS Series. Now, director, Jay Kennedy, there we go. That's how it looks then for the Top Split on a Friday at 9 PM Eastern Time. Unsurprisingly, Garrett Maines leads by a whopping 37 points. Now, only 2 drivers have done all 5 rounds so far, and make that all 6 rounds because they're both here today. But come the end of the season, there's plenty of drop rounds to come into contention. At the end of 36 weeks, don't expect to see everyone do. I don't think come the end of the season we'll have anyone do all 36 because real life is, of course, a thing. But definitely going to be interesting to see how it all plays out because you see Garrett Maines and Jose Solis Jr. there at the front. But then you look further back, Zach Novak and Jimmy Mullis are back there at the back end of the top 10. They've only turned up to, I think, 3 so far. So come the end of the season, going to be very interesting to see who comes out victorious in terms of Friday night NIS. Yeah, so Garrett Main's leading that standings, but unfortunately, I'm sure there's a few drivers out there who weren't very pleased with him on the opening lap of this race, where he kind of helped trigger an incident. And he's not doing too well in the race right now. Here he is back in, what, 22nd place. So obviously this race hasn't gone to his favor, but you know what? Everyone's on the same tires now. Everyone's on the same strategy, and or at least everyone who's not getting a wave around right now, because we've got a lot of drivers who did try and make their second stop and make it to the end, who are taking the wave around. And of course, they'll be able to make it to the end on fuel, but they'll have older tires than their competition in front of them.
Yeah, so they're basically screwed now. Their caution came out at the exact wrong time.
They're hoping for another quick. They're hoping for a quick
yellow.
Need
it because these guys in front of them can also make it to the end now, provided our fuel numbers are correct. So this now makes it a straight dogfight. Don't expect any more pit stops, barring cautions. Hard racing out there. Doucette and Norton on the front row. Harrison Lyon, Jose Solis Jr. behind them. The action's not going to stop here on iRacing. We're going to keep racing 24/7. There's a calendar full of major events, plenty of great racing to be had right around the clock, but this today is all about the NASCAR iRacing Series. The regular old Joes like us who just love to go sim racing. Going to put on one heck of a show as we get into the last half of this race and we get ourselves back underway, courtesy of that green flag, and a reasonably good jump for Will Norton. He's hung with Doucette nicely. Jose Solis Jr. as well got off pretty good up top as a very tight behind him. Bit of contact, it looked like. That's the 25 shooting up the racetrack in the background. Now they're 4 wide down that back straight away momentarily as they'll try to sort themselves out. Maines almost turned to 25 again. And that's Robert Miller, who's lost almost 20 spots on this opening lap of the restart. As they're, what a mess up here. 3 wide, Jose Solis Jr., Yarborough, and Brian Laprade.
Yeah, Brad Wright was in the middle of a 3 wide, and they're still 3 wide. Here they go with Brian Laprade going in the middle of it. So these drivers really fighting for every position they can on this restart. But yeah, there was almost contact there in turn 1 and turn 2, and that's why you saw the 25 kind of go high to get out of it. But as you mentioned, it cost him a lot of positions, and it's not something you want to be giving up on the restart here. Ryan Doucette has the position that they're all after. He has the lead, and all these guys on their full fresh Goodyears trying to get more positions and get up closer to him.
Harrison Lyon, though, making the moves to the inside of Ryan Doucette. Here comes a statement from the NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series driver as he retakes the lead of the race. He wants this race, as Doucette forced to settle for second. Will Norton now coming under pressure from Brad Wright. Remember the charge he was making in the first few laps of the first restart of the day. He's got some great short run pace in that car. So watch for him to potentially even get some lead if he can complete this move.
I wouldn't be too worried if I was a Doucette fan. Sure, I would like for him to have the lead if I was a fan of that number 4 car, but the fact of the matter is remember, he started this race 14th and worked his way all the way up to the front. I think he has a long run car, and I almost wonder if he should just kind of let Harrison Lyon go right now. Although that being said, he's got to make sure he doesn't fall back too far, because Brad Wright is all over the back of him in third, and we got more battles here that we're watching in the middle of the field. Everyone trying to gain spots, as we mentioned, while their tyres are fresh.
Here comes Brad Wright to the inside, side by side for second place now. Doucette gonna lose out on another spot in that number 4 car. Going backwards early on then, as he might lose out to another guy, Brian Laprade, and he's gonna follow right through. Doucette stuck on the outside, there's no grip or speed at least up there, and in fact, Will Norton is going to go through as well. So Doucette loses 3 spots on that lap, losing 4 spots in the last lap and a half.
Yeah, and obviously, even though some of these drivers might be thinking about the long run, the fact of the matter is Harrison Lyon will be getting great tyre wear right now. He won't be worrying too much about that by being out there in the clean air. He'll have all that air pushing the nose of his car down, and that will be taking care of his equipment better than the rest of the field can, who are all involved in dirty air back there.
Look at this battle, though, for 8th place, right behind Sean Gisbro. They're side by side, Ethan Lane up top. Dustin Johnson being pushed along by the 27 of Tony Monge. Jose Solis Jr. is back here after his poor restart. Colson Salek, Matt Adams, all in this fight as well. And they're fighting quite aggressively, as Monge just completed the move on Lane and just blocked him a bit. Matt Adams goes for a big dive. Salek had to move up the track. Almost contact there between the three of them, as now Junior dives to the bottom of the track, right in front of Jeremy Davis, who's trying to recover after losing about 20 spots on that first lap, getting pushed out of the way by almost everyone, it seems. He's trying to complete the move on Hale, but Hale's actually going to drive around the outside of him there. Good move.
Yeah, and there's 26 cars on this lead lap, so you don't want to be losing about 20 spots, because they could all be for position. Talking about for position, all these drivers still all over each other in turns 1 and turn 2. Jose Solis Jr. out there on the high side with Ethan Lane kind of leading that train, Colton Salek, and now a battle perhaps between Connor Hale and Jeremy Davis behind them. But as we start to put a few more laps on these cars, I think that high line will start to be the preferred line, and it'll be harder to make passes due to the tyre wear. The progressive banking will start to favour those cars on the outside, and we've got action up front.
Side by side for the lead of the race, Harrison Lyon coming under pressure from Brad Wright. The short run and pace on that car is phenomenal. He's trying to take the lead away, but Harrison Lyon's hanging tough on the outside. Right up against the fence as they come out of turn 4, down this front straight away. They'll be door to door, and up the line, nothing separating them. Literally nothing, a thousandth in it. Behind them as well is Brian Laprade, so he might capitalize if these two continue to stay locked in action here. Will Norton try to push him along in the meantime as well, although Norton might look for a move here in a turn 3. In fact, he will. So side by side, the top 4 positions now, as Brad Wright clears him through turn 4, takes the lead away. New race leader, Brad Wright.
And for fans wondering where some of these drivers came from, well, Will Norton is the only driver in the top 5 who started in the top 10, and there's almost contact there between Lyon and Wright as they go through turns 1 and 2. Doesn't look like Lyon wants to run in second place right now, but unfortunately for him, that's where he still finds himself as they go down the back straight. Coming around to complete lap 85, we are within 50 laps to go.
And 50 to go on the leaderboard. Thank you for adding that, Mr. J. Kennedy. And let's see, Lyon going to bump draft him down the front straight away into turn 1, maybe trying to push him a little bit wide into the corner. But Wright gathers it up nicely, takes a nice smooth line, arcs it down, gets a good exit. But is it as good as Harrison Lyon's exit? Ooh, not quite. 23's going to look, but he's going to think better of it. Got to watch out now if he goes for a move and can't complete it, because he's got 2 very hungry drivers lined up right behind him, ready to capitalize on any mistake now. In fact, Brian Laprade might be close enough for a move on Harrison Lyon, who just moves the car over to try and prevent it as we head down into turn 1.
Yeah, to go back to what I was talking about qualifying, none of these top 3 started in the top 20, yet here they find themselves all over each other. Lyon tried to make a defensive move there, but it looked like it was going to be a little bit too late. Brad Laprade is already underneath him and is going to try and make a move on the low line. I thought this wouldn't work at this stage during the run, but obviously these drivers know a lot more about what their cars can do than I do, and Harrison Lyon is the one up high, and Harrison Lyon is the one going in the wrong direction.
Will Norton's going to take away the spot as well. So Lyon goes back to 4th. Doucette back there in 5th ahead of Yarborough and Levine. Top 3 then. Very interesting. Top 2, we saw the mid-pack before the caution came out. They progressed very nicely off this restart. And let's see if Laprade's got the pace to get to Wright. Norton's looking pretty good now. His car's starting to work nicely for him. I suspect Harrison Lyon's going to start to regather some momentum in that number 23 machine. He definitely had long run pace, as we saw earlier, but tell you what, Ryan Doucette, he's going to lose another spot now as Doucette moves to the bottom side of him and takes it away. Lyon sidesteps him. Doucette and another caution's out on track though, so that all goes out the window. Garrett Maines had another issue out there. And, a couple more drivers involved. Maines was sideways on the track. Who's that who spun? That's someone else who's run into some issues. Tanner Love, who was a lap down earlier on, he found himself in the fence when he picked it up. Motor Simulation replays, Sam. What has got on here?
Contact on the straight. Yeah, that's a very weird place for... And the problem is, when we get a wreck like that, break out on the straight, all of the cars behind are wide open, and, you know, that leads to some pretty significant damage for about 3 or 4 cars there.
Garrett Maines was to the inside of Jeremy Davis, and then they came together. I think Davis might have come down the racetrack. Maines wasn't able to hold on to it. A couple more cars got involved, and then Tanner Love tried to go up the track to avoid Maines, and had a car that was outside, so that put him in the fence. Can we get an on-board with Tanner Love then, as he came up to this crash, to see what he was seeing? That's him spinning. This is him then, as he comes out of turn 2, looking from the roof cam. By the way, in live pictures, you're on pit road. So Tanner Love, tucked up behind someone. You might have seen this wreck kind of late. Remember, what he's seeing is slightly lower than what we're going to see. And he's going to see it there. Sees the smoke, sees Maines, and yeah, not really much he could have done. The car was outside, probably didn't see the crash, and tried to turn into the corner, whereas Love didn't want to, and just extremely unfortunate.
Yeah, the race off pit road is happening right now. Macy got the lucky dog.
Race off pit road?
They're all ghosting on each other, yeah. There might have been some contact there.
Oh, there are just about 4 wide there. Doucette, Laprade, Norton, and Wright as they raced off. Believe Brad Wright won that race off of pit road.
Yeah, it looks like Jeremy Davis has accepted blame for that wreck. He realizes he kind of came down on Garrett Maines on the straight, and but everyone came in for 4 fresh tires. It's not too well. I say everyone. Let's see. Are these all lap cars that stayed out? Yeah.
Yes.
And, yeah, and that makes sense considering the amount of tire fall off we've seen today.
It looks like they're all the same guys that stayed out in the last caution too, interestingly, to get the wave around.
I don't think this is the last caution we've seen. Things have been quite dicey between these drivers today. We've seen multiple 4 wides, and why not? You know, it's a track wide enough for it, but unfortunately, when you are 4 wide, it doesn't take much of a mistake to pile up a bunch of cars.
Oh, you're exactly right. We're going to have about 35, about 40 laps even, on this race chart. So, on this restart even. So, it's going to be very interesting to see how this all plays up. And, Jeremy Davis speeding himself up actually in sim over that incident. So, Brad Wright and Will Norton, Brian Laprade. So Brian Laprade and Brad Wright, they seem to have the best short run pace. Will Norton's car looked like it took a few laps to come in. And then Ryan Doucette and Harrison Lyon are the guys with the long run pace, but only going to have 40 laps. You sort of need a short run pace car now, don't you?
Yeah, and this goes back to that thing I mentioned earlier that, you know, this is a top of 10 or 11, I think, actually, splits going on right now. These drivers are all very, very good. And, you know, all of them will be aware of that. They're all going to be aware, I think, that this race is starting to have a bit of a yellow flag feel to it, and they might need to tweak their cars to turn them into short-run cars. And I think the amount of aggression we saw on the last restart, that's only going to increase.
think you're right. Lights out the pace car, drivers forming up side by side then as we get ready to get ourselves back underway here in a Homestead at Miami Speedway. Brad Wright, Will Norton, front row. Ryla Prada, Doucette line up behind them. Who gets the jump as the pace car will dive down out of 4 in a moment's time. Interesting pit road here as well. You can pit before turn 3, but you lose a lot of time. And drivers always opt to pit off turn 4, no matter even if it is a little bit dodgy. As the pace car does just that, and Brad Wright gets us back underway. A very good jump from him. Will Norton's not able to cover off Brian Laprade, so they'll be stuck side by side this time. As Doucette, or contact with Yarborough as they make their way through into turn 1. Yarborough had to get out of it. Doucette did well not to get put up into the fence as Justin Levine got a bit loose out of turn 1 that time. And Yarborough might get caught 3 wide. He's trying to block a few people now to get some momentum back. He's losing the rear. The 32 gets turned. Dustin Johnson collected by Solis Jr. Collects Matt Adams as well. And a few drivers now caught up, and they keep on wrecking as they come out of 4.
Yeah, Monga tried to save it for the longest time, but eventually he couldn't, and he hit the wall hard and came down to Oliveira. So, yeah, while that incident was in turn 1 there, as Ryan Doucette was trying to make it down onto the low line, and it wasn't open for him, and he kind of came back up, and you know, Austin Yarborough, I don't think was prepared for that. It was just a lot of jostling for position going around on the restart, and that, you know, it didn't directly contribute to the wreck in turns 3 and 4, but it definitely didn't help it. You know, things get all bunched up here, and then the cars just racing a little bit too close for comfort, and unfortunately we lost a few of them.
And a few drivers spun in sympathy as well, trying to avoid that crash, and in the end I think about 5 or 6 involved in this latest incident. You can see there the wad of cars strewed across the racetrack, and they get themselves back going the right way. Don't think we'll see anyone come down a pit road except to repair damage here. Didn't run long enough on those tyres. We're going to go to a very quick break here on SimSpeed TV on the iRacing Esports Network. When we come back, we'll have the restart here in Miami for round 6 of the NASCAR iRacing Series.
The iRacing Esports Network. Pace car down and in. It is Keegan Leahy's field to control as we say, let's go racing from Homestead. Round 3 of the 2020 Cup Series is green, and we're already blocking to turn 1 as Alfala tries to keep Luza behind him. Spinner at a turn number 2. It is the 55 of Kane Cook, his Ford Mustang. Wrong way around at a turn 2. And it looks like that this may have been a bit of calamity. It looks like at least 3 or 4 cars got a piece of the contact.
Ryan loses, poking the nose up the inside of the 83 as they come off of turn 4, but can't quite get there. Is Ryan Luza, Bobby Zielinski able to just hold on? Let's try 1 and 2 this time. Go up to the point, a little bit of a slide from Bobby on the turn in. That's going to make him nose to nose, push it up the racetrack. Goes the 83 as Ryan Luza starts to nose ahead. They're still even as they work down the back.
I mean, he parked it on his left rear quarter panel on the front straightaway, and they just about doored each other off of turn number 2. This is the fight for the race lead. Will it be a pass for the race win? Luza on the inside, yes sir, lap 105. Final time at a turn 4, and for the 13th time in his career, Luza a winner in the Coca-Cola iRacing Series. He gets it done tonight at Homestead.
Fantastic. This is GT racing right now. He's got traction. He's got rid of the outside. Both of them. Maloney. Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up top. Oh my God.
these guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, here we go. Oh, no. That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh, my God. God, what?
Welcome back to Homestead, Miami Speedway for week 6 of the NASCAR iRacing season. The Friday 9 PM Eastern time slot here has been a very interesting race so far. And now we are getting set for another restart with 36 laps to go. We saw a big crash with about 8 or so cars involved in the end to bring out this caution. Hopefully it's a bit cleaner off this one. It'll be Brian LaPrade on the front row now with Brad Wright. Will Norton falls back to 4th for this one. LaPrade eager to get going, is ahead of Wright at the moment. Pace car dives down, Wright gets on the throttle. And another good restart from him. Austin Yarborough goes 3 wide, and now they're 4 wide behind them as they approach turn 1. How does this work out for them all as they make their way through the corner? Somehow they all prevail, still 4 abreast as they exit turn 2. Now they sort themselves out. Wow.
Yeah, boy, the 2 cars on the low side there had the advantage, so that's what Brian LaPrade is going to try and do for the race lead. He tried to look underneath Brad Wright, gets right on his rear bumper there, but pushes up the racetrack from all that dirty air, and now Harrison Lyon finds himself down low. Harrison Lyon was dropping back a little while ago, about 10 laps ago, 2 cautions ago in this race. Now he's right back up here fighting for second.
And he's going to take second place away from LaPrade then. He goes back to 3rd. Doucette and Yarborough duking it out behind him. Justin Levine under pressure from Ethan Lane, who was the car on the top of that 4 wide off the immediate restart. Will Norton just tucked in behind him at the moment. Oh, Lane trying to get to the outside of Levine as Yarborough had to avoid a sideways Doucette coming out of that same corner. Behind, Colton Starlick makes a move to the inside of Norton. They're duking very aggressively here in the first top 10 spots. It'll leave the race, though, side by side again. Brad Wright under pressure from Harrison Lyon.
Yeah, Brad Wright probably felt he was safe on the low line going through turns 1 and 2, and Harrison Lyon was like, no, you're not. And he found the lane down low that I wouldn't have thought was there. But Harrison Lyon found it, and now he has the desired inside lane on this restart, though Brad Wright has the run coming off of turn 4. Less than 30 laps to go now, and Brian Brad is blinking a little bit there in 3rd, suffering with connection issues, so that's not good. And Harrison Lyon pulls ahead.
So back to the race lead, if not the first time today, as Harrison Lyon as a block gets thrown on Austin Yarborough by LaPrade. Yarborough has to go to the outside now, and Brad Wright almost came back at Lyon on the outside, but now loses the momentum. And under pressure more than he's applying it. Yarborough wants to find a way through. Thought about 3 wide. Instead opts to push Brad Wright into the corner. And all contact with LaPrade. Can he hang on to it? No, he can't. Sideways. Doucette has to avoid him. Collected by Levine into the fence. And the rest of the field will avoid. No, they won't. Collected. And now a big crash. Small get involved.
Yeah, Brian LaPrade was really the one who came off worst of that. And then, as you mentioned, a few cars towards the back of the field. A lot of cars smoking and wrecked here. But boy, Brian LaPrade, he was kind of the innocent victim. He was down there on the low side. It was the 2 cars on top of him who were bump drafting each other. And, well, I don't know. He did end up sliding up in the end there. Maybe that was his fault, but they kind of came down into him, and there's the aftermath of cars coming into him at the very end. Let's see if we can back this replay up a little bit further. I think Brian LaPrade was... the rest of them kind of just came down into him on the low line there. But, yeah. There we go. This was Adam Josel, and he was in the back of the pack. Nowhere for him to go.
Yeah, once they start wrecking, it's very hard to find out where you're supposed to end up on the track to avoid it. And he gets involved as a result. They'll all come down to get some fresh tires on, I imagine. And this is the onslaught for the Pride. You can see he just came down the track, did Austin Yarborough.
Yeah, so he was an innocent victim. And now everyone's coming in for tires.
Let's see if the order changes down here on pit road then. Amongst the leaders of the race. Will anyone gamble for 2? Will they all take 4? Does anyone stay out? Doesn't look like it. Brendan McKinnon stayed out the track. Interesting. Adam Jocelyn comes out first. Looks like he might have taken 2 tyres or missed his pit bay. Harris
pit
leads them. Stephen Massey comes off second. He must have taken 2. Jocelyn missed his pit bay, but Massey took 2, so he puts himself up there now. Out on track is Joshua Campbell's got engine damage. Brendan McKissick's got damage to his rear end. You would hope McKissick's going to pit because that rear end looks a bit second best. He's going to be way off the pace.
Yeah, probably just trying to avoid pitting with the crowd here, but we'll have to wait and see. Things definitely get mixed up as we enter the closing stages of this race. But the problem with 2 tyres isn't that it's not a bad idea, Ryan, but no one's done it so far this race, so I don't think anyone really knows how it's going to work out.
No, exactly, and Jocelyn does come down to pit road again to find his pit bay this time round. And yes, 2 tyre gamble. It's going to be very interesting now to see how it plays out for him. Just having a look. McKissick stayed out. Brendan McKissick stayed out, so he's going to be the race leader with the lack of a rear bumper and a very messed up rear spoiler.
Well, the lights are still on, so he does have an opportunity to come in there. But, yeah, I wouldn't want to be racing that.
No. So Harrison Lyon will line up to his outside if he stays out. Stephen Massey, the 2 tyre gamble, will restart either 3rd or 2nd. Then it's Yarborough, who's found his way ahead of Brad Wright. Doucette, Norton's dropped quite a bit. Levine and Sarlik, the top 10. This is going to be a very interesting finale to this race. Looking at Brendan McKissick, looks like he's going to come down to pit road. He's down to the apron there. So he will get out of the way of the race leaders, and he'll repair that damage to his machine, and it will be a straight fight between the guys that pitted.
And this is bad news for Stephen Massey because he's going to be restarting 2nd up on that high side. So not only does he have only 2 good tyres, but he's going to have that undesirable high line for the restart. It should be noted, one driver who had a fairly decent race in the middle of a race that I think was also involved in the last wreck was Jose Salinas Jr. So unfortunately, that's put an end to his race. Remember how we were bragging, how we had like 30 cars still on the lead lap even after the first couple of yellows? Well, that number is starting to go down quite substantially and seems to have been getting wild in the second half of this race.
22 drivers on the lead lap. The last of those, Eduardo Oliveira, who I believe has some damage to his machine. Yes, he does. So, what can Stephen Massey do on 2 tyres? Haven't seen the gamble get played today. They didn't do too much running on their old tyres there, so it might be a gamble worth playing. He's going to restart on the outside, and traditionally that outside's not got a good restart so far in this race. Harrison Lyon's got phenomenal short run pace, but as does Brad Wright, who lines up 4th. This is going to be a very interesting restart then. Pace car gets out of the way. Field in the hands of Harrison Lyon then. He backs them up. Green flag out. And a very congested restart for the field. Ethan Lane dives down and makes it 3-1 in the background immediately. And Stephen Massey dives to the bottom of the track in front of Austin Yarborough. 3 wide now for 2nd place. As Yarborough goes to the bottom, it's Brad Wright up top, and going backwards to the middle is Stephen Massey. He moves up to cover off Will Norton now, who's got Justin Levine to the bottom of him, and Ethan Lane even lower down the track. Still 3 wide. Levine gets sideways.
Oh, crap at the back.
And he collects a wreck in the back and a wreck in the front.
Yeah, that 2 tyres did not work at all, and that was Justin Levine spinning around in the middle of a pack, but we had cars flipping over in turn 3, and there is one upside down, Dylan Rafferty.
So 2 incidents then on the cold tyres of this restart. Let's first take a look at Dylan Rafferty further back in the field, all by himself entering the corner. They wreck in front of him. He gets collected hard, and big incident onto his roof. That was Adams that collected him. And then as that happened, right as the caution came out, they started to wreck up front as well, as they started ping-ponging off each other in that 3-wide action. Justin Levine, one of the victims to that. 3 wide in the middle is Levine. Bounces up the racetrack. You can see them wreck behind, and then he starts to wreck. He collects the Connor Hale down on the bottom of the track. Luckily, just those two involved in the end. Hale collected that fence, so he'll have damage to his car.
Yeah, so 2 tires definitely didn't work. And okay, so that's what happened then. It looked like the 5 car was kind of slowing down because they were all checked up in front, and that got Adams' car unstable, and unfortunately there were a couple others involved in that. Let's see, yeah, I think Adams just had to slow down a little bit for the contact in front of him, and that kind of made the back end of his car step out a bit, and then he lost control.
So what have we had? 3 cautions now in the last 20 or so laps. Angst getting to some of these drivers as they maybe look to be a little bit too aggressive in the closing stages of this one. Up front, it didn't change too much. Brad Wright did find himself in 2nd place. He gained 2 then in that lap off the restart, so he's back into a good spot. Austin Yarborough somehow still in 3rd despite all of that, and Ethan Lane, who's been aggressive on the restart, has pulled them 3 and 4 wide, has now got himself into 5th place as a result of that. Massey's still running around in 6th, but those tyres not working for him.
Yeah, and Massey's attack strategy on the restart there was get down low as quick as he possibly could. And honestly, some leagues and real-world racing would have probably gave him some kind of penalty for changing lanes before the restart line. And this is an official iRacing series race, so there's no hosts per se, no admins to kind of wag your finger at you for doing something like that. So Stephen Massey got away with that one. Unfortunately, he just couldn't keep it down there. The 4 tires on the rest of his competition was so much were performing so much better, and he kind of got shuffled up and out the way, and unfortunately in the end I think that probably contributed a little bit to that wreck. But yeah, I'm surprised we're still seeing him out there on those 2 tires. It obviously didn't work on the restart. He dropped back 4 positions within the matter of a couple of corners, and it's only going to get worse now that he doesn't have clean air as well. So I don't know if I'm thrilled with his call to stay out, but as you mentioned the last couple of times, Ryan, it might help make these restarts a little bit more interesting. Unfortunately, that might mean we might see another yellow or 2 before the checkered flag falls. Here we go. I think the pace car lights are going to turn off here. And so we do get the 1 lap left to go until green. Now, friends at the iRacing Esports Network asking in our YouTube chat if we think we'll go green to the end. I can tell you the commentators' thoughts right here now is unfortunately no, but who knows? These are the top drivers, the top of 11 splits going on right now, which means they know how to drive cleanly. Unfortunately, it also means they're 20 laps away from winning a top split race, and they all want to get to that checkered flag first. And we appreciate everyone tuning in here on the iRacing Esports Network, and if you haven't subscribed to them yet, be sure to do that, because there's plenty of great more broadcasts to come, Ryan.
Certainly is. Make sure you subscribe to update with them. We've got some big events coming up over on iRacing as well. So gonna be a fantastic week for esports in the next couple months, I guess, in general for iRacing. So let's try one more time to go green to the end. Harrison Lyon, Brad Wright, the front row now. Pace car gets out of the way. Will he back them up again? Not quite as much. He gets underway. And look at Ethan Lane, aggressive. Yarborough trying to block. Almost contact. There was contact between them. They keep going the right direction though. And now they're 3 wide again into the corner. Yarborough in the middle, sliding up in front of Doucette. That rear end fighting for stability. Oh, they crashed behind them. Colton Salek, Stephen Massey, a huge checkup in the field. They've sorted themselves out, but someone's got a massive run through them all as a result of this. That's Justin Levine picking up about 7 spots. And oh no, they're wrecking up front. That's going around as Ryan Doucette. Can he save it? He does.
Oh, Ethan Lane sliding
in the middle of the track. They all avoid him.
I don't know how.
Wow.
That's what brought the caution out, was Ethan Lane stopping on the racetrack. We, like you mentioned, there was pretty much a wreck out of turn 2, a wreck out of turn 4, but neither of those brought the caution out because they all saved it. But so one car that had to come in to a complete stop that basically caused the yellow to fly. So nothing so far has done anything to trigger caution in iRacing, but that did, and good thing that's virtual racing, because that would be very scary sitting in that car in real life.
Props to the save for Ryan Doucette, though. And I'm trying to figure out what the heck happened in turn 2, because I looked backwards and suddenly there was a massive gap to the rest of the field behind our first half a dozen race cars. Where are we? There we are. So Sean Disbro, yeah, so Colton Sarlik got into the back, it looks like, of Stephen Massey. It turned him around, almost. They saved it. Everyone checked up as a result. And then someone at the back, Justin Levine, came through with a head of steam, picked up at least half a dozen spots. Just on this back straightaway here, Justin Levine, absolute beneficiary to all of this.
Yeah, so just a couple of drivers getting too close together, going through turns 1 and 2 here. Bit of an ambitious move, and as you mentioned, some drivers taking great advantage of that, and all of those drivers, I'm sure, were happy to see the caution fly just a couple of laps, a couple of corners later, because, boy, that could have been a lot uglier than what it was. But they lost a lot of time to that lead pack, so I'm sure they'll be grateful that the caution did fly over in turn 4.
Curiously, no damage for Doucette and Lane, so they're not out of the race, but they have cycled all the way back to the rear of the field. They've come down to get fresh tyres after their slides, so not in the contention to win the race at this stage, although plenty can still change, as we still have 19 laps left to go on this one. The way the last few have panned out, we're probably going to see another caution on this race. Very aggressive from everyone. There's no quarter being given. No room for mistakes out there now.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate, honestly, to see a race that does have this much yellow fever after they put on such a great show for us last week. I think we only had 2 or 3 cautions in that one, but hey, not every race is the same, and honestly, anyone could still win this, because Ryan Doucette and all those drivers back there who just took fresh tyres, well, they're going to make those cars a lot faster, and if we get another few cautions, they'll have plenty of opportunities to pick up positions on the restart.
Yellow fever. Oh, it's better than coronavirus, I guess. Sam?
Well, it's jaundice, I suppose.
Yeah, maybe. I'm hoping we get some green racing now. Give us a nice green run to the end. And for Sim Speed, a busy day ahead of us. We've still got the international region of the Major Series coming up at... Well, I'm commentating it. I don't know what time it is. 4:45. It's in 4 hours' time. 4:45 Australian Eastern Standard Time. So that'll be.
Don't ask me. I don't know how your time zones work.
I don't know what the American conversion is.
Yeah. So 4 o'clock Saturday. That's probably 7 a.m. on a Wednesday in America.
2:45 p.m. New York time. So if you're a vampire or a bat and you enjoy sleeping during the daytime and you're awake at night, we will be live for you.
Well, I did have a dream last night that I was in Australia, so you know, that counts. It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah? And were you attacked by spiders and drop bears?
No spiders. I normally think of kangaroos when I think of your country.
Yeah, kangaroos are all the outback. You gotta go
Now, is it like deer over there, right? In the United States, it's not unusual if you're a homeowner to have a deer in your backyard one morning. Is that what it's like in Australia? Oh, look, there's a kangaroo in the backyard.
That happens.
Oh, okay.
That happens for quite a few people. And we've got half a lap to go. And, well, let's see how this unfolds. As we come through turn 3, turn 4. Again, Lion and Brad Wright. Front row, Will Norton and Austin Yarborough. So Doucette and Lane are at the very back of this field. They've got fresh tyres. They're 17th and 18th. What can they do with those tyres? Can they get to the front? Lion goes early. Doesn't want to check them up any more than we've seen already. And we get ourselves back underway. Norton moves to block Salek. As behind Salek comes Sean Disbrow, who's found himself in a higher spot he's been all race long so far. Lion with a very good lead as they come down the back straight away. Brad Wright caught side by side with Norton. Now he finds himself single file. This is the most tame restart we've seen for quite some time. Can we stay green then for at least a lap? There's a short Stephen Massey going backwards in the bottom of the racetrack with those two tyres from a long time ago. Yarborough, aggressive move from the inside of Brad Wright. He takes away P2. Wasn't much the 17 could do about that one.
Yeah, seeing some nicer racing between these drivers are giving each other a little bit more space, attempting some crossovers, getting creative with their passes. The problem is it's allowing Lion to run away a little bit. It'll be 14 laps to go when he comes across the line this time by. 19 cars still on the lead lap, and we'll be keeping an eye on some of those cars at the back who have the freshest tyres.
Ethan Lane up to 12th place, Doucette 13th. They've already gained about 5 spots each. See how much further they can go. Up front, Austin Yarborough trails Lion by about a car length and a half. He's certainly close enough if he can stick within that good draft range that he's in at the moment. And Brad Wright back there in 3rd place as well, looking pretty good at the moment. Big gap starting to form from 4th back to 5th. 5th place occupied at the moment by Sean Disbrow, who's got Salek, Toyka and Hazard all lined up behind him.
Don't think we mentioned Toyka at all today. He's having a nice run out there in the middle of the top 10. We'll see what happens if you know, we get a few more laps. If we get a few more laps in the yellow flies, then things will get very interesting, seeing who opts to pit and who doesn't, especially with this little cars on the lead lap. But right now, I'm sure Harrison Lyon, well, I was about to say Harrison Lyon would be quite pleased with it staying green, but yeah, here comes Austin Yarborough.
And Lyon will surely have to defend this. Yarborough shows the nose, not close enough though for a move. Lyon, the experience he's got, not going to be fazed by that, not yet at least anyway. If he gets a bit closer, then he's got to watch out because Yarborough's got some pace. 11 laps to go here in Miami. They're almost 3 wide behind them. They sort themselves out. They'll go 2 abreast into turn 1. Swooping around the outside for Ethan Lane. Picks up that spot.
Yeah, 3rd and 4th were quite close as well. Brad Wright and Will Norton. So we'll see if that battle starts up in a little bit here. But 10 laps left to go. It's starting to get into the very closing stages of this race. And so if you have an opportunity to make a pass, you might want to start thinking about making it happen. And that's none truer for any driver other than Austin Yarborough in 2nd right now.
Just sat there biding his time, figuring out where he can make this move and make it stick, and then jumped out to a handy lead, because Yarborough will surely come under pressure from a crossover move or some sorts for Lyon if he offers it up, if he gets by him. In fact, Brad Wright is starting to catch both of these drivers, along with the 4th place man, Will Norton. Curiously, 2 laps ago, I believe, Harrison Lyon and Brad Wright, on lap 124, Austin Yarborough and Harrison Lyon run exactly the same lap time.
good for them. I was surprised to see Will Norton kind of drop out of the draft on the front straight. I almost wonder if he was overheating a little bit, just trying to get a bit of cool air to the grill before the final stint. So that might indicate he put a bit of tape on that grill, knowing that we would have some short runs to the end. Lap traffic starting to be a little bit of a factor about that staying out the way nicely. Obviously, a lot of cars tore up out there today, so that could be, just another little obstacle that the leaders are going to have to worry about. But right now, Harrison Lyon is just worrying about trying to maintain this lead with 7 laps left to go. And if Brad Wright starts battling Yarborough for second place here, that's really going to help him.
Fastest drivers of the top 4 are sat 3rd and 4th, Brad Wright and Will Norton. Harrison Lyon is loving this as long as Yarborough keeps holding up Wright, but he's run wide and Wright gets to his inside. Behind him, they're fighting hard for Pete number 5 and 6 as well, defending. But let's watch this second place group, because Wright goes through. Yarborough now under pressure from Will Norton. And can Brad Wright chase down Harrison Lyon at the lead of this race? Going to be 6 laps to go now as they come across the stripe. Behind them, they're still battling hard, and Salek almost got turned by Toyota there.
Yeah, that one's bad news. Oh, and we almost have contact between Dispro and Mercutio for 5th place behind them. But that was very bad news for Lyon that Wright was able to get by Yarborough so quickly, because Wright's coming in a hurry, and I think he might be able to do something with him. 5 laps left to go at the line.
Still caught side by side, Disbro and Mercurio. Mercurio on the inside should get this one complete through 1 and 2. Up front, Will Norton, run a 32.19, 32.17 for Brad Wright, 32.2 for Harrison Lyon, slowest of the top 3. He's going to come under pressure here from Brad Wright in the closing stages of this lap. He's going to have to defend surely as Wright dives to the inside, trying to get his nose there. Not quite. Lyon drove it in deep, but coming out of the corner, unless he gets the run, Wright should get to his inside, and he does. They're going to go side by side for the lead of the race with 4 laps left to go here in Miami. Trying to hang tough on the high side, but he can't do it, can Harrison Lyon. Brad Wright to the lead of the race. The 23 goes back into 2nd. Will Norton closes up in 3rd now. What's he got? Can he challenge back for the lead? Can Lyon get anything back for the lead? No, he can't. He goes high. Norton goes through.
Yeah, I think Lyon was trying to set himself up to do some kind of crossover coming off of turn 4, but he just drove way too high in the corner, and it simply gives 2nd position to Will Norton, almost like blundering your knight in a game of chess or something. But so what can Norton do with Brad Wright? And honestly, I'm thinking with 2.5 laps left to go, the answer might be nothing. Brad Wright seems to be one of the fastest cars out there, but one simple mistake or one simple miscalculation about where to put his car, and Will Norton might be over him. And I'm already eating my words, because it looks like Norton is coming at him down the back straight, down the front straight.
Back. Thomas Hazard as well moves to the inside of Colton Sarlik. They were 3 wide with Wright to set. He completes that move. They go single file. Let's go back to the front. Will Norton. Oh, he's almost within striking range. It's a lap and a half left to go. Will Norton, if he closes through here, he's going to be well within range as we head through into the white flag lap. The white flag and the flagman's hands. It's in the air. 1 to go in Miami. The gap at the line. Just a 10th and a half. Brad Wright back to Will Norton in 2nd through 1 and 2 for the final time. Wright's got to be flawless through here. Can't make a mistake. Don't give Norton an opportunity to get to his bumper. He's close enough if he wants to lunge it in and apply the chrome horn. Does he want to play it that way? It doesn't look like it, because Brad Wright's got a nice gap now through the 3 and 4 for the last time today out of the final quarter. It's going to be your number 17, Brad Wright, that wins here in Homestead, Miami.
Yeah, things were getting dicey for 7th place on the final lap, and Ryan Duchette won that battle. But the win in the whole field today was Brad Wright, and what a great race by him, because I don't think he was really up front until the second half. He, methodically worked his way up to the front of the field in the first half of the race. And at the end of the day, that was some great racing there that got him across the finish line in first place.
Certainly was. What a conclusion to that race then, after so many cautions towards the latter age stages of that one. Wright's not going to go for the victory burnout option. He's going to bring it straight down on to pit road. Let's go to a quick break here on SimSpeed. When we come back, we'll have the full results from Miami and hopefully some post-race interviews.
Coming up to the line, being chased, and it was Braden Johnson.
Unbelievable finish.
It was 1/1000th. This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He got rid of the outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up to him.
Oh my God. Big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, here we go.
Oh no.
That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?
Welcome back to Homestead Miami Speedway. The results from round 6 of the Friday night NASCAR iRacing series. Brad Wright makes it 6 different winners from 6 races, winning by 2/10 from Will Norton in second, Harrison Lyon in third, Austin Yarborough, Brian Mercurio coming home 4th and 5th. Timu Tweaker came home 6th out of Ryan Doucette and Sean Disbro. Thomas Hazard recovered well from a lap down to come home 9th. Colson Sarlik rounded out the top 10.
Yep, and then in 11th place behind him, we have Ethan Lane ahead of Justin Levine in 12th place. Who I think was involved in a late caution, but still came home 12th. Connor Hale finishes in 13th place ahead of Robert Miller in 14th. Stephen Massey rounding out the top 15. Getty Buckner, I don't think we mentioned him at all today. He comes home in 16th position ahead of Jeremy Davis and Dustin Johnson. Last car on the lead lap was Adam Jocelyn, and then Jerry Kate was the first car off of a lead lap, actually 2 laps down.
Rest of the results will cycle through on your screen. These are the drivers that ran into plenty of issues today. One driver that did not was Will Norton. 2nd place today. So close, but so far.
Yep. Tough to come up short a second week in a row. Granted, this one we were even closer. Hoping it would go green all the way after that first caution. Our set was, I would say, overall pretty good. Though we kind of fell off long run, but we got enough of a lead that I was able to pull out a bit during the green run. Then all those cautions started coming out and it got tough. People started, the restarts are crazy, so a lot of 3 wide, 4 wide. I thought I was wrecked when we went into 3 and 4, but it's lucky enough the car saved itself.
Yeah, the cautions at the end looks to be a little bit sketchy with all the restarts and the action off them. You seem to be one of the only drivers really that stayed towards the front end of the field all race long, whereas a lot of people had some issues. You said your set was good. What were you sort of what could you have changed really to try and get yourself that extra step, the extra 2/10 at the end of the race?
I would say short run. I mean, our car had solid short run, but clearly not enough in the very short run. By the time it was the end, we were running Brad down, but didn't have enough time. That, and on a lot of the short runs, I was having to manage my temperatures because my tape was too high. So I was blinking by the end of almost every straight, worried if I was going to blow up.
Yeah, well, maybe you can take that and apply it to next week at Texas. Another 1.5 mile track, new scan into the iRacing service. What are your confidence for that?
I'm pretty confident. It's a new track. Haven't driven it much at all, if I'm being honest. So I don't really know what to expect. I'd imagine I know half the track since turn 3 and 4 is still the same as the old scan, or pretty much. So looking forward to next week overall.
All right. Well, hopefully you can run well there. We'll talk to you again before we let you go. Who are the sponsors you need to give a shout out to?
Gotta thank my team, Nexus Esports. Made another great set again. Robert Miller, James Mullins, Stephen Massey did a great job. They worked hard to get more speed out of this every day.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for joining us, and hope to see you next time.
Thank you for having me.
And a rather disappointed sounding Will Norton there, coming home in second. And now Samuel Ryman standing by with your third place getter from today, Harrison Lyon.
Yeah, Harrison, good finish in third place, but I've got to imagine you were hoping for a little bit more at the end.
Yeah, I was actually pretty happy with the finish just because I accidentally popped in the wrong set. I really thought that'd be fast, short, and long run. Turns out the car just died after 10, so I should have ran what my teammate Matt Adams ran because I think that would have been a lot better. So I was actually pretty happy with the result because with the way the race ended up going was we kept getting those short runs. So I kept just checking out for 10 laps, then would eventually fall back.
Yeah, I noticed that you were able to get great restarts over the rest of your field that kept you up front there on the short run. So you think a couple more of those at the end there, and you might have had what it took to get the checkered flag?
Yeah, definitely. I just need a 10 lap dash for the finish, and I think I could have gotten it for sure. That just car got way too tight after 10 and then never came back. So if I could get 10 laps, no more, I felt like it was pretty confident could have gotten the win.
Yeah, talking about those short runs, it's because we had a lot of cautions. There were a lot of wrecks throughout the middle and the late stages of that race. Was there anything out there you think that was contributing to that, or just everyone racing a little bit aggressive?
With these mile and a halves, you have a lot of lanes to choose, especially at places like Homestead that creates 3-4 wide racing. So it gets pretty racy for a few laps, and sometimes there can be netcode or someone slips into somebody and causes a big wreck. So just kind of the product of high downforce racing at mile and a halves.
Well, congrats on a good finish out there, Harrison. Hopefully, we'll see you in the victory lane again before too long. Any sponsors you'd like to thank or anything you'd like to say before we let you go?
I appreciate you guys for doing the broadcast. It's really cool for you guys to be doing the Friday night NIS Open races. It's pretty much the reason why I'm running these actually, so I appreciate it, guys.
Well, we appreciate you appreciating us, and thanks for putting on a great show today. Running up front today, you definitely got your airtime.
Thanks, guys.
Your third place man from today there, Harrison Lyon. Hopefully we get to see him next time out as well. And I guess that will just about do us for today. If you want some more of your NASCAR fix, you can head over to the Global Sim Racing channel and catch the Sim Racers Mental Health. Self-harm awareness 250 at the moment. So they're running the Xfinity cars at Daytona. It's looking to be a good race at the moment. Currently on lap 7 of that event. But for SimSpeed, we're going live in a few hours' time with the international region of the Majors Series. So make sure you subscribe to the iRacing Esports Network and to SimSpeed on YouTube to stay up to date, as well as like us on all social media channels as well. And you won't miss a moment here on SimSpeed TV. I'm going to do a shameless plug, and if you want to hear more of me, which I think is incredibly unlikely, you can go like my commentary page on Facebook, Ryan Jones Commentary. I'm never doing that plug ever again because that was very awkward. And until next time, we head to Texas for round 7 next Friday night. Make sure you join us then. Going to be lots of fun from myself, Ryan Jones, from Samuel Ryman alongside of me, and from Jay Kennedy behind the scenes. Thank you for tuning in. We will see you next time.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now. He's got traction. He's going around the outside of both of them.
because these guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh, no. That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh, my God.
God, what?